Hello, it's Leontine from Little Lovely Crafts. Today is my first card for the Halloween series, like I promised a few weeks ago. It features the lone fawn mice making all kinds of fun carved pumpkins. I used a lot of my mice stamps for this card, and I'm going to show you a few things that I colored. I'm going to show you one little mouse so you have the colors, and I'm going to show you how I colored the pumpkin. To give the pumpkin some more interest, I decided to draw in those lines that pumpkins usually have, and I used darker colors for it, and I went back and forth until I thought it had the right kind of vibe. What you don't see me do is later on I actually went back on most of the pumpkins to make them a little bit darker because the lines faded as the ink dried up. Now that I'm editing, I'm missing a clip of me coloring the leaves, but I can tell you how I did it. I used yellows, oranges, reds, greens and browns and mixed them together. And what I did to add some more interest to the leaves is take one of the darker colors and draw some veins on the leaves. On the background I'm using cracked pistachio, tumbled glass, peacock feathers and wilted violet. I thought that combination looked a little more different than a normal sky, and it still looks cute because I don't want it to be a scary card. Now that all of the ink is on my panel, I got out my bottle of water with liquid stardust from Lone Fawn, and I'm just splattering it on there and picking up the excess water with a paper towel. I did a partial stamp of the stool that the mouse is standing on, and I will just cut off the excess paper and use my multi-liner to complete the line to make it look like it's a shorter stool that he's standing on. As for the mouse that comes with the Love Poem set, I also did a partial stamp because I didn't need the paper he was holding. I just wiped it off with my stamp Shammy and then I stamped the image. I used the die cuts to cut it out, and I'm just trimming off the little edges that I don't need for this card. Now after this part, I am just going to glue some of the items together because you won't see me do it, but I actually moved all of these pieces around quite a bit to get the right background and the right colors and just all of the panels that you will see in the end result. And then I will decapitate the mouse. No, just kidding. I'm just making a little cut so I can place the spoon in his hand behind his head, and I'm gluing on the spoon in a bit of an angle because I don't want it to disappear inside or behind the pumpkin, because I want you to see what kind of spoon he has in his hand. And I'm using that same technique on the mouse that is handing over a leaf to the mouse that is on one of the stacked pumpkins. You might have noticed that I didn't stamp the full face of my pumpkin. I left out one of the eyes, and that's because I wanted to look like my mouse is just cutting it. And I made a pencil mark, and then with my little X-Acto knife I cut it until the cut was large enough to fit the knife inside. And by knife I mean the knife that my mouse is holding. So now I'm just arranging all of my leaves underneath my pumpkins, and I thought stacking them was a cute addition to this card to give it some more height differences. And I'm gluing on that little mouse from Love Poems to make it seem like he is arranging the leaves on the top pumpkin. And the one on the stool is helping him by handing him one of the leaves. And the little mommy with the baby mouse in her arms is watching them make this little piece of art together. The reason I used cracked pistachio distress oxide ink on the bottom of my card is because I thought I was going to do a one layer background, but once I had my images on there I just felt like it was missing a little dimension. So what I did was I got out one of those Slimline dies to cut hills with, and I die cut a piece of white cardstock and I'm going to ink blend it. I wanted to use some fall kind of colors, and I decided to go with some yellows and oranges and then a little bit of green on top because it's sort of like a hint that there's grass there as well. So I used cracked pistachio, fossilized amber, wild honey and rusty hinge. And I'm making some ink splatter with distress ink, and I used the colors tea dye, mowed lawn and wild honey. But later on I decided I didn't like the effect it had on my card, so I went back with my distress oxide colors and just basically wiped out what it did. But you can see a little trace of it, and that actually has a nice effect. I used Happy Halloween from Spooky Village, and I'm going to do some heat embossing with black embossing powder. If you want to know which embossing powder I used exactly, you can read it in the description box down below or on my blog. And now comes the fun part, gluing all of my critters on the card. I used liquid glue to attach everything, and on 2 critters I also used a few foam squares to make them the same height as my grassy hill. I tried a lot of colors and cardstocks and papers for the background, and I finally went with the Fall Fling Jenn paper. The back of it has these white little leaves, and I just love the color matching my peacock feathers sky. And then all I have to do is attach it to a white card base and my card is all done. I want to thank you for watching my video today. I hope you liked the card that I made, and if you subscribe to my channel and hit that bell, you will be the first to know when my second video for the Halloween series is online. I'm hoping I can get my hands on the new Lawn Fawn release very soon so I can make cards with it and share it on my YouTube channel with you. Have a wonderful day and I hope to catch you next time. Bye!